Alright everyone, NPC Unknown here and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be looking at games that were delayed that turned out great, specifically because of all the news recently about games like Starfield and Redfall being delayed. Sometimes a delay is actually good for the game. So during research looking at these games, a few games appeared on these lists like Final Fantasy 15, Metal Gear Solid 5 and Kingdom Hearts 3. Those games won't be on this list as I don't think they really fulfilled their potential too much. Like Final Fantasy 15, for example, had a massive delay and was in development for a very long time, yet I feel the game could have been more. Metal Gear Solid 5, as much as the first two-thirds of the game is fantastic, the moment where you just end up repeating missions with different parameters doesn't mean it's that great of a game, or as good as a game as it could have been. And obviously that was down to the Kojima Konami situation. Kingdom Hearts 3 wasn't that great in my mind. I thought combat was rather simplistic and could have been better. So the first game I want to talk about is Persona 5. So obviously Persona 5 is a spin-off of the Shin Megami Tensei franchise. Both franchises I didn't really know too much about. I had heard of them, but I never really played any of them until I saw the promotion to Persona 5. Something about its music and its art design drew me to the game, and this game actually, given its impressive length, it was actually in development for over 4 years. The fifth number entry in this cult classic franchise was supposed to come out in 2014 before suffering an indefinite delay. Another 2 years in development worked wonders for the game, and it's seen now as the best entry in the franchise. Developer P Studio was not done with the game after its 2016 release. It obviously released Persona 5 Royal, which added about 20 hours of extra content to the story, showing that if you delay a game and believe in it and work hard, that it can actually turn out into an instant classic. Another game that got delayed is probably one of my favorite Western RPGs in recent memory, and that is South Park: The Stick of Truth. So Obsidian worked on South Park: Stick of Truth for the publisher THQ, and it went through a number of troubles during their development, including layoffs and the game switching publisher to Ubisoft with the closure of THQ. The release date was originally set for March 2013, but it suffered a whole year of delays, and it finally came out in 2014. As far as adaptations go, Stick of Truth is one of the best games based on the television or movie IP. Yet another one, and I could have picked any one of these, we'll go with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was released alongside the Nintendo Switch. Never before could a handheld console even run something as half as ambitious as the open world as that Zelda title. It wasn't an easy road for Nintendo to get there. It was initially shown in 2015 with a target release date getting pushed back 2 years. Issues with the physics engine was cited as the main cause for the development woes, but it was also one of the most standout features of the gameplay, showing that delays can pay off. Another game that faced delays was the recently, by recent I mean the last couple of years, Doom Eternal. It was obviously given a 6-month delay, which the studio had said was to polish the game and fix any errors or bugs, and that actually worked out, with Doom Eternal being considered one of the best, if not one of the best games released in the franchise, as well as one of the best first-person shooters definitely released within the last 5 to 10 years. Again, taking that time just to clean up a game shows that it can work wonders for its critical response and its response from its fans. Bethesda themselves had actually been involved in a game delay, and that was in Fallout 3. Bethesda obviously takes a lot of flack with the Fallout series because of things like Fallout 76, and that is rightfully so. If the game is released buggy and broken, they should have stopped and patched it, fixed it, and not released it to the public. But people wouldn't be so hard on the company or disappointed in the current state of Fallout if it both hadn't set a much higher bar with the release of Fallout 3. Van Buren, the code name given to the original Fallout 3 game, was in development for about 5 years and shut down in 2003. Shortly after this, Bethesda acquired the rights to the Fallout IP and started this game from scratch. While some of the old school Fallout Wasteland fans felt that Fallout 3 was too much of a departure from the original Fallout games, the game is considered a modern classic. Next, we have a game that there's rumored to be about 4 versions of, and is considered one of the most influential games ever made. I am obviously talking about Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 had about 6 years of development before the game actually released on the GameCube in 2004. It is hailed as a masterpiece. Considered one of the greatest, and as I said before, one of the most influential video games ever made, Resident Evil 4 completely changed the third-person action game, and in particular, setting up mechanics and tonal templates for future classics such as Gears of War, Batman Arkham Asylum, and even The Last of Us. RE4 has since been ported to just about every other platform you can think of in the last 15 years, and it never stops to feel fresh or exciting, and it's definitely a go-to for all survival horror fans. Another game that we can put on this list is a game that everyone was wishing there'd be a third one of, and if there's one developer known for delaying their games over long periods of time, it's the developer of this game. It's Valve, and for whatever reason, they like taking their time to make their games, as is the case with the highly anticipated Half-Life 2. So Half-Life 2 is arguably their best title ever produced, and it took 5 years to develop. This was mostly due to 2 reasons. One, Valve at the time was making a brand new engine for it, and the fact the original source code for the game was leaked just after it was revealed. So between polishing up the new source engine and fixing the security hole that Valve was having, Half-Life 2 wasn't able to release until a year after its original launch date. The wait was of course worth it, as Half-Life 2 is now considered a video game masterpiece. Had it not been delayed, perhaps it wouldn't be included for the innovation physics, immersive storytelling, and addictive gameplay loop that it had and still has to this day. With a 6-year development cycle, Alan Wake can also be put into this list. Following the release of the first 2 Max Payne games, Remedy Entertainment decided they wanted to try something new with a story-driven thriller. Alan Wake was announced at E3, Remedy having partnered with Microsoft Game Studios in 2006 to release the game on the Xbox 360 and PC. Much of Alan Wake's development can be blamed on the switch in genres. Partway through the game that was first conceived as an open-world adventure, before becoming a Twin Peaks-inspired episodic action adventure that finally shipped in 2010. For the most part, Alan Wake was worth the wait, even if its light-based shooting gameplay provide a bit repetitive. But now the fact that we have a survival horror Alan Wake sequel coming out shows that it has a very good following and is definitely a game worth checking out. So that's it for games that were delayed that I think turned out great. What games were delayed that you enjoyed? Please let us know in the comments. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for listening and watching this video. NPC Unknown out.